go in Italy's first division, and Inter square up to Juventus at San Siro. Milan on the brink of being crowned champions. Their latest game against Torino, played yesterday, a 2-2 draw, extending their lead over Juventus to 7 points. But Juventus anxious to preserve second place under some pressure from Napoli. And Inter need to finish strongly to secure a spot in next season's UEFA Cup. The rivalry between these two great clubs is always intense, and back in December the day belonged to Juventus by 2-1. Here's Montanari. Oh, what's he done here? Casiraghi, mowed down by Zenga, penalty. Inter really can have no complaints, but it rests with Roberto Baggio. And he makes it look ridiculously simple. Well, here's a cameraman's delight, Trapattoni. And you can understand his worry, but Enrico's got more to worry about. Particularly if Gallia gets in here. Oh, that's brilliant! Berti, penalty! Penalty! And the game isn't over. It's going to spark here a furious last few seconds as Matthäus takes it, scores 2-1. Inter must manage without Lothar Matthäus for the rest of the season. He also missed Germany's midweek international in Czechoslovakia, in which his club colleagues Andy Bremer and Jürgen Klinsmann both took part. Today Inter have Riccardo Ferri back from suspension, and Stefano Desideri has escaped a ban after he was sent off here last weekend early in the Milan derby, which Inter only lost in the last minute. It was the sort of fighting performance they'll need today. In goal for Juventus, once again 22-year-old Angelo Peruzzi, keeping out Stefano Tacconi after 2 terrific displays in the Italian Cup against Milan and last week in the league against Roma. Jürgen Kohler isn't risked after injury, with the final of the Italian Cup in mind, and Paolo Di Canio is a starter for only the 7th time this season. It is in away games where these players haven't been able to match Milan, although they are still unbeaten at home. When this fixture came out of the computer last summer, both clubs would have looked at it, and many other experts besides, as potentially a match which would decide the title for either of these great clubs who began the season with such expectations. In fact, it could determine the destiny for a third and dominant party, Milan, of course. That's not detracting from the atmosphere here. San Siro almost full, a crowd in excess, one would think, of 60,000. On a beautiful spring afternoon in Milan. It's an opportunity for Inter to give their supporters something to cheer about in what has been a dismal season. Even though they start the day in 6th place, Baggio tries to test out their dominant defence. But it's their attack that's let them down. And it could be that this will finish, in terms of goal scoring, as the worst ever season in Inter's long and often glorious history. 23 goals in 29 games. Well, you don't win too much with that sort of record. They have to beat Angelo Peruzzi to improve on it. Marocchi is the captain of Juventus today, with Tacconi, the normal leader, the normal goalkeeper, just a substitute. Baggio and Di Canio made that pass possible, tried to extend the excellence, but the move was conducted really in a straight line. Schillaci wasn't able to round it off. 8 minutes gone. Inter 0, Juventus 0. Pereira trying to clear. Fontalan saw it coming. Be sure somebody will be around to repair that advertising hoarding very quickly. There'll be too many complaints from the sponsors otherwise. Here's Reuter. They are letting him run at their peril, and Battistini took him out, having to take such drastic measures because no one else moved in to challenge, and he was fearful then of Reuter's acceleration, and it was a cynical block. Well, Baggio has the chance now to exact revenge for Reuter. And the player who moved out was Desideri. Bergami trying to defend his colleague. Now Desideri will be suspended for the next game. He was warned, and a black mark put on his record after that sending off last week, but the disciplinary committee decided not to suspend him from this game, but that will push him over the limit. Here goes Baggio, and my word, that sort of deflection can easily leave a goalkeeper stranded. But in the end, it was simple for Zenga. Schillaci. Oh, and that was a little lackadaisical from Roberto Baggio. Here he is again. Casiraghi. Cameo letting it run, knowing that Reuter was wider than him. Cameo, who's made most of his appearance coming on as a substitute. Reuter, Baggio, difficult to take. Casiraghi climbing. Where's this going to run? Well, Inter found Roberto Gallia rifling that just too high. It was a reasonable opportunity for Gallia. Casiraghi did well to angle the header down that Inter couldn't clear. Interception. Marocchi touched off for Reuter to try and run at Inter again. Achieved one successful burst. Di Canio, Baggio. Still Baggio. Well, four, was it five, moved out to deal with one very potent weapon. In the end, they stopped Baggio really setting his sights on Zenga's goal. Di Canio this time. Turning Dino Baggio. Zenga trying to stop the deflection going behind. Excellent spell for Juventus. given their difficulties in goal scoring, it would be bordering on catastrophic for Inter to concede the first goal here. But surely they're going to concede one at home at some time. Genoa, back in December, the last team to do it. And it could have happened then. Casiraghi coming in an area he knows so well, but it wouldn't have counted. You heard the whistle go. Zenga looked uncertain at the far post. Montelan, no threat. Story really for Inter. Baggio. Marocchi. Canio, who's got plenty of freedom to move across the width of the pitch. And he's made space for himself beautifully. Oh, against the post. Casiraghi. Very nearly his party piece. But great work by Paolo Di Canio. A terrific cross. A super header, really. But no luck at the end of it for Juventus. Lupi. It's still 0-0, but Inter are struggling to keep Juventus at bay. Julio Cesar. Baggio. Strong work from Casiraghi. Di Canio, Marocchi outside him. Casiraghi trying to get free for the cross to jump just like that, and he's gone for goal, really. The referee has stopped the game. Schillaci has gone offside. I think that's what the problem was. But Casiraghi's thoughts there were really for himself. He could have knocked the ball back across. Schillaci. And two Inter players collided. It's Di Canio against Bergami. Oh, and he's brought him down. And that has been on the cards. Zenga trying to say it happened outside the area. But Paolo Di Canio, who has given a sparkling display so far in this game, and was the provider when Casiraghi hit the post, is now tripped by Bergami just inside the area. Just inside. Roberto Baggio, 15 goals this season, 7 of them penalties. But surely at Italian get-togethers, these two adversaries have had penalty competitions in training. Walter Zenga, a man who's played 56 times for Italy, 9 seasons as a regular for Inter, is trying to outfox the best penalty taker in Italy, arguably the best in the world. He's got great variety, he's got great nerve, and he's going to need that. Just how long is the referee going to allow Zenga to prance around like this? Sheer gamesmanship. Look at this. And it can't go on. Zenga still will not go on his line. He's playing to the crowd. He might be joining them shortly. Sarcastic applause to the referee. Well, here we go. It's Baggio who wins. A goal thoroughly deserved for Juventus. And Zenga tried everything he knew. Baggio beat him comprehensively. He never seems to miss, and Luis Suarez, having seen his side outplayed and outgunned here for half an hour, now see them go behind. Desideri got to it, Berti! Well, the linesman, who of course had the frame of the goal to mask his view, seemed to me to have the flag up. Nicola Berti's header, I don't think would have counted. Well, some respite for Bergame. He gets a free kick for a nudge by Schillaci. But just to go back to the penalty incident, it's what attackers are always encouraged by their coaches to do in those circumstances. Here's Berti. And Klinsmann with more theatrics then. Julio Cesar was dealing with the ball and twisting round, and his arms were out. It was hardly likely in that situation to deliberately hand off Klinsmann, but once he felt the hand anywhere near his face, he just kept his balance, was trying to keep his balance there. Klinsmann felt it in the face, and he was determined to try and get a penalty because of that. Klinsmann. Baggio only knocking it out of play. That's Dino Baggio. I've seen much more of his namesake. Juventus have only won 4 away games. This would be an excellent success. A long way to go. They've got to sustain what they've done so far. In fact, it's 8 years ago this very weekend, the last time they beat Inter here in the league. Inter have had by far the better of things since then. 5 wins and 2 draws. Conversely, when the matches have been played in Turin, they've usually gone the way of Juventus. Juventus here trying to break the mould of tradition. Baggio, and they're going about it the right way. They've picked a more attack-minded side, and they're playing to their strengths. Baggio, Casiraghi, brilliant, absolutely perfect. Play that one again and again. Had no answer whatsoever. The approach work was concise and incisive, and Baggio didn't panic at the end of it. He took the extra touches before guiding it in. He's found both corners now, and Juventus lead Inter here by 2-0. I really can't recall in recent months seeing them play any better. The brilliance of Baggio, but the supporting cast was very stylish as well. He scored 2 in 7 minutes. 7 sparkling minutes for Juventus. And Inter now have to find resources that have been beyond them in so many recent league games. That might have lifted them. It was a free kick from way out. And I think Peruzzi would say that he had it covered from Desideri's effort. Canio. Here's Baggio. Well, Kaziragi is in some distress, and that really would be a shame for Juventus if that is something like a thigh strain, is it? He's played a part. They've done something different today, tactically, and also in terms of their attitude as well. They've come to win, and they're already in a good position to do that with 5 minutes left in the first half. Desideri. Now Bianchi. Desideri again. Now Battistini. Oh, and Klinsmann. That was the best we've seen from Inter. And Peruzzi's real talent as a goalkeeper is as a shot stopper. He's very alert on his line, and he needed to be there. Berti knocking it across goal, Klinsmann towards goal, but not into goal. Juventus have only turned really to this type of tactic with the extra attacker from midfield in Di Canio when the horse really has bolted. It's half-time at San Siro, and the prevailing thoughts here are well played, Juventus. They came here and took the game to Inter right from the first whistle, and although they had to wait half an hour to get in front, they thoroughly deserved to do that. The penalty converted by Baggio after Bergami had tripped Di Canio, and after Zenga had delayed the taking of it with his gamesmanship, and then Suarez's side conceding his second, which really is one for the coaches to purr over. Baggio again. Inter 0, Juventus 2 at half-time. Inter's unbeaten home record under serious threat, and you really can understand why they're talking in terms of something of a revolution here in the summer. There will be a new coach, Osvaldo Bagnoli, currently in charge of Genoa, who, for all their recent shortcomings, have shown that they do know the route to goal, which has been a path beyond the fathoming of Inter for much of the season. Players like the former East German international Matthias Sammer, who's been playing so well in the Bundesliga for Stuttgart, are lined up to give another dimension to the foreign involvement. Berti into the back of Marocchi. Oh, Julio Cesar taking a risk. Klinsmann, it's wide. He certainly looked as though he was offside as the ball broke to him. But here's a the story of Inter's season in an instant. And indeed, the offside was given, but Klinsmann wasn't to know that. It was a very tentative approach to the ball. And if they're going to get anywhere near ruffling the Juventus feathers over the time that remains, they've got to be more positive. Klinsmann making up the ground in that manner. Then as Carrera left it for Peruzzi. Galea. Baggio turning Desideri effortlessly. Just the danger with Baggio that he might go to the point where he believes he is all-powerful, and he's put his side in trouble. Berti was refusing here to be embarrassed by Baggio. And the outcome, a free kick to Inter, 6 minutes into the second half. And Ferry was free. Well, at least Inter can point to an opportunity. You would expect Juventus to appoint someone to follow Ferry. Casiraghi, the most likely candidate, and he was a couple of yards away from his post, and that very nearly meant a goal for Inter. Marocchi, now Galea. Dino Baggio doing the defending with a fair amount of difficulty. Galea setting a good example then. Off the head of Bremer. Lupi, here's Reuter. Baggio, Schillaci, they've cut away through again. 3-0 to Juventus. Schillaci scores one for himself, but Baggio was the architect once more. Well, it's very comfortable now down on that Juventus bench. Baggio timed his run, no offside, saw where Schillaci was. I think Zenga was unsighted as the ball went to between the legs of Riccardo Ferri. Bound for the back of the net. Well, you think back to September time when Inter were humiliated in Genoa by Sampdoria 4-0. That took a lot of living down, and even in the early weeks took some of the steam out of their season, but well, who knows how this is going to end. Klinsmann. Canio, diligent to block the cross from Bianchi, and you can see the anger in the crowd. You can't condone their behaviour in throwing those plastic bottles on. Bremer, Marocchi who stretched out to meet it. Juventus hoping to get an offside as the ball was driven back again. Ferri. Inter with Dino Baggio. Forcing Peruzzi into a save. Desideri couldn't do that with his follow-up. Let me stress again that Inter have virtually been impregnable on their own ground. You go back to December to find the last time that they conceded a goal in a home league game, and Juventus have got 3 past them in 53 minutes. Such has been the feeling of disenchantment with Inter this season in Milan, that the club have been making great capital of their youth team, winning an international tournament in Germany. Oh, is it another one? Schillaci. Once he directed the ball from that range, you expected it to end up in Zenga's net again. Time when Inter's young players at lower levels are doing well, the senior team really are struggling. Well, with 15 minutes played in the second half, Farini is going to come on, and Baggio is being taken off. I'm sure you're as disappointed as I am. But it's been wonderful watching, and thanks to him for some splendid memories of this particular afternoon. Whether it's just to protect him, of course, Juventus do have the Italian Cup final coming up, 2 legs, May the 7th, May the 14th, when they will play the winners of a semi-final not yet decided between Parma and Sampdoria. Parma 1 up from the home leg, their home leg, or whether Trapattoni has taken Baggio off because just once or twice he's been caught in possession over-elaborating. Fontalan, Klinsmann, Berti came in, and Dino Baggio rather came in, and Marocchi believes that the number 4 fouled him. Well, Inter really playing for their pride now. Fontalan! Goal! Straightforward corner. And Inter have found some pride. They pulled it back to 3-1. And Juventus a little flat-footed. 28 minutes to go. Bianchi took the corner. Fontalan pulled away the far post and made good contact, and not even Marocchi on the line could keep it out. Inter 1, Juventus 3. And that's swirled away behind for a corner. Farini has plenty of class of his own, of course, Italian under-21 international. And certainly not a particularly defensive midfield player to come on for Baggio. Oh, it's Lupi, just stumbled. If he'd reached it with a bit more balance, Zenga might not have been able to make the save that he did coming off his line. No shortage of goal-scoring opportunities in this match. It's often the way in the Italian season, where stalemates arrive in the midwinter months with perhaps more regularity than most observers would like. And when they really get down to business, when winning and losing is all important, it is thrilling stuff. Desideri! Oh, brilliant stop! Showing his paces again. Otherwise it would have been 3-2. Desideri had to wait for it to drop, but still controlled the volley beautifully. And it was a terrific and agile save. Peruzzi not so good coming off his line. Berti, but on his line he's there again. Juventus, having conceded a goal from a corner, looking vulnerable again at a set piece. But prior to that, you were Privileged once more to witness the potential of Angelo Peruzzi. Reuter, who will surely be going to the European Championships with Germany. Occasion for Italian fans will have to watch in sufferance. Here's Kazuragi. Well, we often concentrate on his heading ability. Remember the goal he rifled in against Milan recently, and that was designed along similar lines. Double substitution. Berti comes off, Fontelan comes off. Ciocci is the number 16. Orlando, number 14. The two newcomers for Luis Suarez's side. Double change with 16 minutes left. Ciocci had a very bright start to the season on his return to Inter. He'd been away on loan, most notably with Cesena last season when he got 13 goals. Off comes Schillaci. To Ciocci. He scored in the opening game a 1-1 draw here with Foggia. Second game he earned a penalty which Matteus tucked away to Roma. That was the winning goal there, the only goal in that game. And then in Inter's third game, they played Verona here and were awarded 4 penalties, you might remember, and missed 3 of them, and maybe the die was cast for the season from then on. The following match was that 4-0 thrashing in Genoa by Sampdoria. At times here, Trapadone's team have had the opportunity to score 4 and 5. At the moment, they're settling with 3. Klinsmann. And again, and with Ciocci's challenge, the ball very nearly broke for Dino Baggio. Give us a second Baggio on the score sheet. Ferri. Well, at least Inter in the second half have stopped the game getting totally out of control. They've made Peruzzi retain his concentration and the Juventus defenders into stoppage time, but there really has been very little doubt about the outcome. Just for the minutes after Fontelan's header found the back of the Juventus net. Orlando, and on he goes. Chance to put it back here, but it was way over Ciocci and Klinsmann. Battistini, Bianchi, Inter keeping going. 90 seconds of stoppage time played. Bergami in there, foot raised. Most obvious decision for the referee to give. Of Bergami cuffing the ear of Roberto Gallia, who's been part of a very smooth Juventus machine here. And Juventus have made sure that we won't be able to crown Milan yet. This is always a high-profile fixture. And Juventus have responded to it. Inter have been beaten at home for the first time for almost a year. They've conceded goals at home for the first time since December. That in itself a measure of the Juventus achievement here. The Inter supporters are disconsolate, but that should take nothing away from the style of Juventus, a style that we wish really we'd seen more often, a willingness to go for the win, with Baggio very much at the helm, scoring twice in 7 minutes in the first half, the first a penalty, the second one of the goals of the season, and then setting up Schillaci for the third. Fontaine with some consolation for Inter. They're well and truly beaten. Inter 1, Juventus 3. A scare or two for Milan in Turin, a match brought forward 24 hours to help Torino prepare for the first leg of the UEFA Cup final against Ajax. 4 goals under close scrutiny for you here. Milan's offside trap sprung, and Walter Casagrande, whose goals have been crucial in Europe, with one to break the confident stride of the league leaders. That was after 8 minutes. But Milan were level 10 minutes later, Frank Rijkaard finding a route towards the Torino goal. Eventually, the equaliser falls for Daniele Massaro, the hero of that last-gasp win over Inter a week earlier. Torino trying so hard to become the first team to lower Milan's colours this season, and they took the lead again in the second half. Carlo Ancelotti trying to block the shot from Martin Vasquez. As you can see, the deflection definite and decisive. 2-1 to Torino. And Milan were 17 minutes away from that first defeat, until Roberto Donadoni, with a splendid run and cross, presented the equaliser to Diego Fuser. Torino 2, Milan 2. Claudio Ranieri had been a popular and very successful coach for Cagliari before leaving to join Napoli for this season. Ranieri warmly received on his return to Sardinia. Sadly, the match wasn't worthy of the welcome. Yelpo's double save from Careca's near-post flick and the subsequent looping header from Laurent Blanc, the only incident of note. The goalless draw was significant, though. It extended Cagliari's unbeaten run to 8 games. But Bari have closed the gap thanks to a remarkable recovery against already relegated Ascoli. David Platt back after injury and arriving here just too late to mark his return. With Carboni coming close, Bari had the better of it until Zaini and Vervoort calmly created this goal for the Argentinian Trollio 8 minutes before half-time. Robert Ianni trying to repair the damage. Antonio Soda's header saved early in the second half. Still 1-0 to Ascoli, and now only 3 minutes to go, and the arrival of an unlikely saviour. Domenico Progna, in almost 6 First Division seasons with Pisa, Atalanta and Bari, has never scored. Progna put that right at a crucial moment. And in the last minute, up popped David Platt to deliver his 10th of the season, to add to his list of admirers, I'm sure, at larger clubs, and to keep Bari with just an outside chance of staying in with the big boys. Verona are virtually down and out. Fiorentina's Marco Branca twisted the knife with a stunning hat-trick. The first, a brilliant volley on the run after 16 minutes. Carlos Dunga trying to drive home the advantage here. But 3 minutes after half-time, Verona were level. Stojkovic with the free kick to Serena. Maragini unable to make a clean save, and eventually it was Lunini who equalised. But Branca soon put Fiorentina back on course, beating the goalkeeper to Dunga's through ball. 2-1 to Fiorentina. Mazinho, like Dunga from Brazil, made sure Branca would go home with the match ball. 3 great goals for a member of Sampdoria's championship-winning squad last year. That wasn't the end of the story. Facenda fouling Pellegrini. Penalty put away by Pietro Fana. 4 minutes to go, but Verona couldn't spoil Branca's super day.
Only 2 wins for Lazio in their previous 10 games, so a welcome opportunity to restore some lost confidence against Cremonese. It took them only 9 minutes to find a way through. Thomas Doll on target. Cremonese's Gazzili almost doubled that immediately. Rampula to the rescue. Fiori, the Lazio goalkeeper, also in fine form from Piccioni. After half an hour, Bonami was ruled to have brought down Karl-Heinz Riedler. Penalty. Ruben Sosa's 12th goal, his best return in an Italian season. 3 minutes later, though, another penalty at the other end. Floriancic fouled. Gustavo Desotti scoring. Desotti, who was sent off here in the World Cup final. This a happier memory of the Olympic Stadium in Rome. 2-1 to Lazio. It became 3-1 5 minutes into the second half. The spade work done by Ruben Sosa. Riedler rising characteristically. His total now 13. The 2 foreigners with 25 of Lazio's 40 league goals. And there might have been another for Sosa. It would have spared an anxious finale for Lazio. Marcolin, who is joining Lazio next season from Cremonese, made sure he was noticed by his new employers. 3-2, 25 minutes left, but that was the final score. Like Lazio, Parma are pressing hard for European qualification from a high final league placing. Genoa couldn't stifle their ambition, although only Minotti's shot hinted at a first-half opening. But it was Minotti, Parma's sweeper, who struck the crucial first goal after 64 minutes. Genoa's season coming to a disappointing end after reaching the semi-final of the UEFA Cup. And Thomas Brolin, with a very sweetly struck free kick, made sure of 2 more points for Parma. Atalanta and Roma in the middle of the table, this match revolving around the great German striker Rudi Völler. Here's Völler falling with all the frills as Parini stretched into a dangerous tackle, but does play the ball. But justice was done perhaps when Völler's penalty, not a good one, was kept out by Verona. But 17 minutes from time, Völler did get the better of the goalkeeper. A soft goal really, but reward for him for keeping going after that penalty miss. Vigliari's header here, the best Atalanta attempt, Zinetti with a tremendous save. Then it was back to Völler again. His first-time try, typical of his talent. And finally, he made this chance for Fausto Salsano. Roma's first win in 5 games. Finally to Sampdoria, last season's champions against the winners of the second division a year ago. Foggia, undaunted by the challenge, Rambaudi finding a way past Pagliuca in the 24th minute. There were some marvellous moments in the match, like Roberto Mancini's breathtaking back heel in this attack, which let in Gianluca Vialli to hit the post. Mancini leading the search for an equaliser. But it might have been beyond Sampdoria if Baiano had made more of Shalimos' skill. Vialli without a league goal at home for 3.5 months, and he wasted this opportunity. But he certainly didn't give up, although Foggia's usually fragile defence had a more determined look. It took a set piece to unlock the door. Vialli at the far post from the flick by Toninho Cerezo, who celebrated his 37th birthday earlier in the week. No offside here, no goal either, as Lombardo looked a little unsure. Foggia, as ever, played a full part in the game, and they can be proud of their draw. Foggia now move up from 12th to 10th, above Atalanta and Genoa on goal difference. Only Bari have any real chance of extricating themselves from the bottom 4, and that chance is slim because of Cagliari's consistency, 8 games unbeaten now. Inter have only just retained a place in the top half, down from 6th to 9th. Lazio up from 8th to 6th, Roma from 9th to 8th. 4 games to go, 8 points to play for. If Juventus lost next week at home to Sampdoria and Milan beat Lazio at San Siro, the story would be over. Marco van Basten still the top scorer with 22 goals, But Roberto Baggio, who's also scored 4 in his last 3 internationals, closing in on him with his 2 goals against Inter, a match which showed off to the full his considerable craft. First of all, there was his precision at the penalty, which was even more admirable than usual, given Walter Zenga's outrageous attempts to put him off. Later, a splendid illustration of his movement off the ball and his awareness of others, a slide rule set up for Salvatore Schillaci. But his masterpiece in Milan was a goal of imagination and inspiration. When Roberto Baggio is in full bloom, it is a beautiful game.